Simply. On Twitter, I'm at Naomi Simply, at Enterprise Lab UK, and at White Enterprise Live. So I've got 3 personas on Twitter. My foray into social media came about in about 2008. I launched a business in 2007, had no budget for advertising, and I used grassroots marketing, word of mouth, and social media PR, which was fantastic. Fell in love with Twitter in 2008, and it's been a bit of a love affair, really. It's been great for me personally and great for my business. So with Baby Love Disco, I used it to promote events. Like I said, we had never had any advertising budget, so we would promote the events on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter. We used to, liven it up a bit by pictures and audio, shared information. And I am completely self-taught, so we're going to have a question and answer session, but one of the key things for me was being strategic about who I was following. So if we could talk about the first business, which is an events company aimed at families, I followed other kids-related businesses, followed the competition, because it's always good to keep an eye on the competition, see what they're doing, who they're following, check their followers, check who they're talking to. I'm not a stalker or anything, by the way. And then also follow related media. That's really important because, like I said, I've used PR, and there's lots of PR opportunities on Twitter.
Twitter's the best warm-up app. Yeah. And that's Alan John was actually, who's really good at Twitter. He's a friend of mine who's on that. It's the best warm-up app you'll ever have with someone, and LinkedIn, because you'll know a bit about the person you're talking about. You'll know, you'll about your kind of interests, and you'll have a starting point.
Follow people that you know, because if you're not used to Twitter, and I'm talking about Twitter in particular because that's my thing is Twitter rather than Facebook and LinkedIn, even though I do use them. Talk to people that you know first. If you're not used to it can be quite daunting. So you make sure you have an avatar picture. Paolo, for example, I didn't realise he was 6'5", because I'm used to seeing this little picture in a square. But make sure you have a picture of yourself, or if you don't want to have a picture of yourself, have a company logo. Make sure you have a compelling bio, and for God's sake, don't forget, if you've got a website, put a website. If you haven't got a website, make sure you put a LinkedIn profile on there, or even a Facebook page.
And there's an awful lot in the papers recently about, say, anybody says anything about Ched Evans, the footballer who's involved in the rape allegation or actually convicted of rape. There's people now tweeting things and actually go to jail over what they tweet. So, as much as you're all sort of sat in this room thinking it's a great idea, there's a lawyer in the room who's probably going to get arrested or it's going to be a scare story. It's not, for 1 second. And part of the reason for that is, Naomi's done this and she's a living example of the kind of thing you can do through Twitter, and I've been lucky enough to actually meet a lot of people like her who actually used it to build and launch business. I'm now the head of legal at boohoo.com. Anybody shop there? If not, why not? I got that job purely through social media. I can say that to you quite easily. It's pretty much the dream job because when I was in private practice, I used to advise in social media. So now I've gone to work for a company that's really big at it, that's actually growing internationally. We've gone to Australia fairly recently, we've gone to New Zealand fairly recently. And I started out in a very, very similar way with it to the way Naomi did. I worked at a law firm that had money but wouldn't spend it on PR for my particular area of law, so got on Twitter. By the time I ended up leaving private practice, I was getting maybe 10 or 20% of my work through Twitter. And that's actually quite tough in a profession that hates Twitter. Lawyers hate Twitter with a passion.
Now, with PR, you can search on a regular daily basis journalist requests, media requests. You put in hashtag in the search bit, hashtag journo request. I was in Prima magazine, last month, because I responded to a media request. They were looking for someone who wanted makeover. I've actually put my sister forward, but they obviously thought that I needed a makeover. The fringe is growing out. But I got to mention my business. So I didn't just go on there and get started up. I actually got to mention my business. I used every opportunity that I have to tell people about my business, and social media is a great way of doing that. It's all about building relationships up with people.
There was a living example of what you can do with this. And she's right, I've had plenty of similar experiences where I've ended up on Radio 5 or BBC Breakfast, things like that, because somebody asked me a question on Twitter.
Fantastic! It's almost like a you build up a community, you build up your community, you spread the word about what you do, and make sure that you've got a really compelling profile. And if you're following, industry-related media, it almost gives you credibility. So you become a guru of what you do via social media. So you know what's going on. You know what events are going on. You know what the latest news stories is. And also, if you've got a business where you don't want to do the tweeting, and you want somebody else in the business to do it, don't assume that it's going to be the youngest person in the office. It's going to be the person that is most passionate about the business. And it's about using the time that you've got effectively, so dipping in, dipping out, joining in conversations.
If you're a writer, you write what you know. First of all, a writer writes and a writer writes what they know. A tweeter tweets about what they know, and about what's important to them, and about what they're passionate about what they actually have something to say about. But I thought, the general rule of thumb is don't say anything that you wouldn't normally expect to be either smacked in the face or sent to prison for. You will be fine on social media. You absolutely will. There is a lot of stuff out there. The smarter guy puts down said is absolutely brilliant. There's a lot of stuff on e-consultancy, even if we call it there. There is information out there, and that's kind of emblematic of social media. You can use it to get pretty much any information you're after, just depending upon the amount of time that you will spend with it. So no matter what anybody tells you about risks, and yes, there are risks. Certainly advertising more now applies to websites and applies to what you say on Twitter in certain limited circumstances. Know them, understand them, but for God's sake, don't let it put you off